Caribbean News Desk, I'm Dennis Chabrol. First, the headlines. Trinidad and Tobago is running low on electricity. Almost 600,000 new immigrants to the United Kingdom. Deforestation reduced by 18% in Brazil's Amazon. Experimental Ebola vaccine passes first test in humans. And the football legend Pelé remains in hospital in stable condition. Details coming up.
We are one Caribbean, one people, one nation. Facing the same destiny. Too separated we are. As one, let's come together. One market economy. Caribbean is how it should be. Let's support carry on for Caribbean unity. It takes you, it takes me for Caribbean unity.
Energy-rich Trinidad and Tobago told to brace for blackouts. That's because of a gas pipeline leak. Authorities hope to seal the leak during next week. But until then, major consumers of electricity, like those in steel manufacturing, are being told to conserve in electricity so that most people across the Twin Island nation can receive power. The Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Company, TNT Tech, has already announced a load shedding schedule after a leak developed at a pipeline that supplies natural gas to its generators. The company's general manager, Kelvin Ramsuk, was reported by Power 102 FM as saying that since the gas leak, the electricity output has been reduced.
1250 is the demand and 1050 is the available capacity. So we have a shortfall of about 200 megawatts. And that, by curtailing the industrial customers, as I said, PCS, ERA, CNC Titan, Central and so on, all the methanol plants at the Point Lisas industrial estate, we would be in a good position to be able to maintain supply to the rest of the country.
The number of immigrants arriving in the United Kingdom increased to 583,000 as of last June, compared to the 502,000 who arrived during the year ending June 2013. That's according to the British Office for National Statistics, or ONS. The figures represent a setback for Conservative Prime Minister David Cameron's immigration policy, as he had set a goal of reducing inward migration, even though it went against the opinion of Liberal Democrat members of the coalition government. In the same context, ONS pointed out in its report issued on Thursday that this surge in the yearly influx of immigrants is significant from a statistical point of view. Analysts noted that the number of immigrants stemming from European Union member countries increased by 45,000 individuals, while those from outside the European bloc increased by 30,000 people. The UK's migratory balance, that's the difference between total immigration minus total emigration in a given year, increased to 206,000 between June 2013 and the same month in 2014, compared to a balance of 182,000 recorded during the previous year. Canada's announcement that it imposed visa restrictions on St Kitts and Nevis due to concerns about the issuance of passports and identity management practices of the Caribbean country's Citizenship by Investment program has sparked concerns in neighboring Antigua and Barbuda about its fledgling Citizenship by Investment program. Clive Backus of Win FM Radio in St Kitts has more.
Henley and Partners, the firm that officially represented the St Kitts and Nevis program internationally and is now engaged in developing the Antigua and Barbuda version of it, says that country should learn from the mistakes of St Kitts and Nevis to avoid any risks to its program. Christopher Willis, the managing partner of Henley and Partners Caribbean Limited, responsible for operations in St Kitts and Nevis and Antigua, spoke to journalist Kyle Christian of the Observer Media Group.
Is there a danger for programs in other places such as Antigua and Barbuda because of this kind of scrutiny?
Well, I think the important thing from Antigua's point of view is that they have to learn from the mistakes that St. Kitts has made. So as long as Antigua, keeps this program well managed, then there shouldn't be any risk. So it's important that, it continues in the same vein and doesn't make any bad decisions that could threaten the credibility or the transparency of the program.
The opposition in St. Kitts has been talking about other countries, for example, the UK and other countries in Europe, doing the same thing, imposing visa restrictions. Is there a danger in that happening as well?
Yeah, it is a possibility. when you look at two grade A nations, like Canada, who just made this announcement, and the earlier FinCEN advisories from the United States, Europe is going to take note of these decisions. And, a lot of these countries will talk and understand the rationale why these decisions were made. And if the European Union come to the conclusion that there is some associated risk, then they certainly have the power to take away that visa-free travel. So again, it is a risk. We can't be sort of put our head in the sand and think this is never going to happen. It is something that we have to take into consideration and prepare for carefully. As we talked about earlier again for Antigua, as long as they're looking at this as a warning signal and make sure that the integrity of the program going forward, then they should be they'll definitely be in a stronger position than St Kitts and Nevis.
If we see other countries imposing visa restrictions, will CIP programs arrangements be attractive without the visa-free access? Is that the main selling point?
Well, I think it's going to have a direct impact for sure, because certainly the mobility is one of the key reasons why people will apply for economic citizenship. In most cases, people who apply that have a limited mobility with respect to their passport. So applying for a second passport through economic citizenship allows them to gain that mobility they wouldn't normally have. If it was somebody, say from People's Republic of China, for example, where they have a lot of difficulty with travel, this gives them that flexibility that they would require. So without a doubt, although, security and there's other factors why people would apply for economic citizenship, the mobility is in most cases the primary reason.
Could we view this issue with St. Kitts having this visa imposed on it? Can we view it as a benefit to Antigua and Barbuda's program? And should we be looking at it from that kind of point of view?
Well, I think, yes, there's definitely an advantage to Antigua because the confidence in the St. Kitts program is waning. And so if people are looking at a region in the Caribbean, Antigua is the only other jurisdiction that's going to be comparable. Some people, it might not be important that they have access to Canada. That might not be a primary driver for them. But again, if you're looking at the bigger picture, is the EU going to do something similar, then that's going to cause concern. So if they have, even an ounce of doubt, they'll probably err on the side of caution and proceed with Antigua. So I think, although it's in the big picture, it doesn't have a huge difference between two because it's only one country. But I think that if things get worse at St. Kitts, then Antigua will certainly be in a very strong position. But the flip side of it is we have to make sure that they don't apply this to all Caribbean countries. That's a concern as well for the Eastern Caribbean region.
Managing partner of Henley and Partners, Christopher Willis, speaking to journalist Kyle Christian of the Observer Media Group. Citizens of Antigua and Barbuda still enjoy visa-free travel to Canada. The Chief of Staff of the Government of Antigua and Barbuda, Mr. Lionel Max Hurst, recently assured the public that the country's CIP's due diligence would filter out undesirable characters.
Deforestation in the official Amazon region, made up of the 9 Brazilian states and Amazon River Basin, was reduced by 18% over a 12-month period. That's according to latest statistics. The Brazilian Amazon lost 4,848 square kilometers of forest cover between August 2013 and July 2014, compared to the 5,891 square kilometers cleared during the same period. Deforestation grew 29% last year compared to 2012, when the government registered 4,571 square kilometers of cut. The estimate of the area cleared was based on the Amazon Observation Project, or PRODES methodology, which identifies forest areas of less than 6.25 hectares that have been completely cleared or burned. The deforestation estimates was produced by the National Institute for Space Research, or INPE, using 89 images from the U.S. Landsat 8 satellite. An experimental vaccine against Ebola developed in the United States has successfully passed its first test in humans, sparking an immune response to the disease without serious secondary effects in the 20 volunteers who received it. This disclosure was made in a study published in the New England Journal of Medicine. The clinical trial began in September at the National Institute of Health, or NIH, and its results are sufficiently promising for researchers to undertake a bigger study with thousands of participants in West Africa, where the deadly Ebola epidemic began and continues to ravage the population. Director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says the response of the 20 volunteers receiving the vaccines is very comparable to what protects animals from the virus. The vaccine developed by GlaxoSmithKline uses a common cold virus called adenovirus, which normally infects chimpanzees, but it was genetically manipulated with small portions of the Ebola virus. The 20 volunteers who were vaccinated in the clinical trial produced antibodies against Ebola, and only 2 of the people receiving the highest dose developed a fever, albeit of short duration. The people receiving the highest dose also developed a stronger immune response, something that could signal a problem, given that the larger the dose necessary to create immunity, the more difficult and costly it will be to produce the vaccine in the quantities necessary to deal with the disease in West Africa and halt its spread. U.S. President Barack Obama is scheduled to visit the NIH Center, where the test was performed next Tuesday, to congratulate the workers and to once again urge Congress to approve before year-end the $6.18 billion requested by his administration to contain the spread of the disease. Since last March, a total of 15,351 Ebola cases have been detected, and 5,459 of those people have died, according to the latest figures compiled by the World Health Organization. The countries most seriously affected by the epidemic so far have been Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea. And although there are no reported cases of Ebola in the Cayman Islands, medical experts there continue their preparation efforts. Medical Officer of Health Dr. Kiran Kumar says there have been few visitors to the Caribbean from the most affected countries like Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, so the chances of importing are very limited.
Even in the Guinea and those countries, the cases are occurring only in the families and friends who have visited the patient in their house and also are cared for him, or the healthcare workers. It's not happening in the airport, it's not happening in the community malls and supermarkets.
Dr. Kumar also was quoted by Radio Cayman as saying that he is pleased to know that the government has rolled out more than $3 million to be spent on prevention measures, most notably medical equipment.
But we are not going to spend all that money, I don't want the public to think that $3 million is going to be into the dump. The field hospital we are going to get, isolation unit, that can be used for any outbreak. So in any event, if there is an outbreak, then we can use that isolation. And chickenpox cases and all that, if necessary, we can keep them. So in that sense, I am happy for the funding. We only tap into the money if we need.
And across in Barbados, the Ministry of Health will hold another simulation exercise next week to test the country's preparedness for dealing with the case of Ebola. The exercise, which aims to identify any gaps in planning so that these areas may be strengthened, will take place at one of the ports of entry. Several agencies in the health sector, security forces, and other stakeholder organizations. Brazil football legend Pelé remains in hospital as he receives ongoing treatment for a urinary tract infection. The 74-year-old is being treated with intravenous antibiotics and is in a stable condition. São Paulo's Albert Einstein Hospital said in a statement Wednesday afternoon. There was no information on when the 3-time World Cup winner will be discharged. Pelé left the same hospital November 13 after undergoing surgery to remove kidney stones. The former selector number 10 has suffered a long list of health problems in the past decade, including emergency eye surgery for a detached retina and a hip replacement.
We are 15 states with a common goal, a unified purpose to face the world, enriching lives, empowering people, creating a strong economic region. No matter where you're from, no hassle, just freedom. Whether business, school, or pleasure, we will benefit together. We carry come single market, good for you and me. We carry come single market, good for you and me. We carry come single market, good for you and me. Oh yeah.
And that's it for this edition of Caribbean News Desk. Don't forget you can visit our website at caribnewsdesk.com or on our Facebook page at facebook.com/CaribNewsDesk. We're also on Twitter at DemWaves. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dennis Chabrol.